Back, baby, back. Yes, we are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. He's Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. Gunner, a little under the weather today. We're hoping he gets better and is back with us tomorrow. Feel better, D-Gun. Hey, I did want to mention, unfortunately, we lost one of our chat room family. We lost Jeremiah Butler, who was a loyal listener and viewer of the show and always commenting in the chat section and brought a lot to our show. And we just want to pass along our condolences. He passed on Christmas, Barrett, young man, 39 years old, and one of our family. So we're thinking about his family, and we're thinking about all you guys who had relationships with him. So rest in peace, Jeremiah, man. So just wanted to pass that along. Good guy, man.
Great guy, you know what I'm saying? And definitely, our condolences from Sport Takes to he and his family.
I'm sure he's up there in heaven enjoying what the Eagles are doing right now. That's for
absolutely
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about the offensive side of the ball last segment. Let's go to the defense here, Barrett. I mean, 5 more sacks, and it feels like this is the MO every single game, right? I mean, they're getting at least 5 sacks every single time they go out there, and they get 5 more. Hassan Reddick, who's everywhere, gets a sack and a half. Josh Sweat, one of the guys we probably don't talk about enough, coming back from the injury. That looked scary for a minute, man. He gets a sack and a half. Fletcher gets one, and BG gets one. So they rack up 5 more, man. They are just a wrecking crew, this defensive line.
And once again, when you really diagnose the game, Hassan probably could have had 3 more.
Exactly. Yep.
Daniel Jones just stopped and ducked just before he got there.
Yep.
I mean, he was touching him. It seemed like he was touching him every 3 plays.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's crazy how good Hassan Reddick has become. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was good. Yes, he was a double-digit sack guy. And, like, he would do stuff like the last time when he played the Giants when he was in Carolina, he had like 5 or 6 in just one game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was heavy rack up in certain games against maybe not great teams.
Right. Well, now he is taking his pass rushes, and his presence is being seen now from his pass rushing moves. He's getting to be one of those guys that's going to be unstoppable, man. I was trying to sit back and think about who would I compare his size to, his frame to, explosiveness,
right,
and really give him justice on how good he is. And I really couldn't find anybody, but the closest person I could say come to his size and speed and quickness who was really good was probably Mathis. I remember Mathis from the Colts.
Robert Mathis. He was
Robert Mathis. Yeah, me and Hugh were talking about that today, and he brought up Robert Mathis. I'm like,
our buddy Dan Klecko talks about him all the time. About what a beast he was. They played together in Indy for a little bit. Yeah,
he was he's my frat brother. So he was a monster. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But his ankle bend is gotten better, bro. Like, when I say ankle bend, the great pass rushers have great ankle bend. When an ankle bend, next time you just sitting there, like you guys be sitting there right now, think about running almost parallel to the line of scrimmage and going around the turn, and you're going around the tongue. The ankle bend that you have to keep from falling over. That's how he has got that ankle bend,
right?
And he's perfecting that ankle bend, and his ability to rush, and even if they try to push him on the ground, to stay up and keep going and finishing plays.
Yeah,
that's where he's become even better at.
Yeah,
in his pass rushing moves.
Lil Tona's a good comp a little bit, but Trent Cole was a little bit bigger though. I think.
Yeah, Trent was bigger. Trent's a big dude.
That's a good comp though.
That is. He's a little faster than Trent is also.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Trent
was explosive.
Who I was thinking of maybe, and tell me if I'm wrong, Clay Matthews Jr. a little bit. They're both a little bit undersized and just had a real knack for the ball.
You're right about that. Great analogy, bro. You're right about that. That is a good comparison. I think that Reddick is better at overall, being on the line of scrimmage and rushing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times Clay would move around. They would put Clay in you had to put Clay in situational football for him to be a good rusher.
Right.
All you do is line Hassan over there. Because, I mean, that's going to be a clash in the time, an epic battle going on this weekend with he and Williams. He and Trent Williams.
Oh, man. And Trent Williams is still on top of his game.
He's a stud, man. But he gave up a couple sacks this year. And here our guy Lane has given up none in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a clash of the Titans, man. So Hassan is taking this game to a level which has made everybody else take it to that level. One person he's directly affected, and I am so glad we got your guy, Mike Babicci. He may have the worst day of his life.
For people who don't know, he's the Niners' right tackle. He's a Notre Dame, Penn Charter, Philly kid. He actually wore at the podium. I forget one day that the Anglesey Pub is a place in North Wildwood. He wore their T-shirt at the podium a couple weeks ago. So
did he?
Yeah. Well, no, but real quick, let me just last thing on Reddick. I didn't realize how good he was with his hands, Barrett.
Right.
His hand moves, man, are unbelievable.
Bro, he's knocking guys' hands down, his rips, techniques, his spin on the inside, his inside move, him taking it on the outside and finishing when he's running the hump, finishing. His finishes, like he's ripping through and he's going around the corner, and all of a sudden he can rip his body, throw his body forward, and slap the ball down. I mean, that's all that stuff is he's all I'm gonna say is what's his name? Rocker.
Tracy Rocker.
Tracy Rocker has taken this game to it. They got Stoutland University. We might need Rocker University, man, because they are churning there, bro. Sweat just looks so powerful and long and just just finishing guys, man. These guys are finishing, man. BG exploding through people. Tracy Rocker's got these guys playing at a high level. He and I forget the other guy's name. Oh my goodness, the wide nine. His son played. His son.
Washburn.
Yeah, Washburn. That's Washburn's son. Has got these guys, and I think he's the one that's more so with those guys. He's with the edge rushers that are linebackers / defensive linemen. He's whatever he's teaching those guys is working.
It's amazing what he's doing. You're right, and then you just have such strong interior guys too. On top of it, you got a rejuvenated Brandon Graham who had to watch on the sidelines last year when he was hurt, and he wants another one. He wants, can you imagine having two? It's amazing what they're getting here and what they're getting from these guys, and the ability to just sort of reload with the Milton Williams of the world and the Sues of the world and the Linval Josephs of the world with Hargrave and Cox, and you just loaded there. You're loaded at the position, and because they're so good, they're starting to reap the benefits everywhere else. Like the pick they had, the pick that James Bradbury had. Oh,
Gannon, say what you want to about Gannon. Gannon is one hell of a defensive coordinator. I believe
preach.
If you take away last year, and if you just erase, I know you can't, but if you just erase what went on last year, and which they were still pretty good, they just weren't as aggressive because of last year they didn't have the people too aggressive. They were still a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
But if you just look at solely on what you see right now, his defensive numbers far surpass any defensive coach that's been at Philadelphia. His numbers are up there with the elite as far as defensive coordinator. 70 sacks, broke a franchise record.
They have 75 sacks in 18 games. I don't know what else to say. The notion that he's selectively aggressive, like he's just not reckless. There's a difference between being selectively aggressive and reckless. He's not reckless. He's not going to give up the big play. I thought both guys called a masterful game on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Both sides.
And I think they'll both be here next year, but I truly believe they called great games from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint. Look at what they were faced with. A team that has a 1,300 yard rusher. You know what I'm saying? A 1,300 yard rusher. Saquon Barkley is one of the best in the and he looked like the young Saquon Barkley also. Mm-hmm. But to shut him down for like 60-something yards, come on, man. Come on, you can't tell me where they didn't allow him to get started. They stopped him before he could even get started.
Yeah.
And that's why they won the game. That's why that offense looked so anemic. And once they got up on them, they were asking Daniel Jones to win the game for him. He can't do that.
Well, how
And
about
they do that.
Isaiah Hodgins the week before has 8 catches? You know what he had Saturday? 1 catch for 3 yards. They got pressures, Barrett, on 65% of the dropbacks.
Oh,
that's
man.
An insane number.
Insane. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, James, he was the leading receiver. He had 10 targets, 7 receptions for 51 yards.
A lot of that is late, too. A
Exactly.
lot of that is when the game's out of reach, frankly. And it's just garbage time. It really was.
Bro,
Bradbury was phenomenal. Slay looked much better,
And they played more aggressive. They played tighter.
Yeah.
They did play a little more man,
but
they played more aggressive also. You know what I'm saying? Like the pre-snap was more aggressive. They were trying to make and bait Jones into bad throws, and he was trying to serve it up.
Yeah.
He was definitely trying to serve it up, man.
Yeah,
but
no question. And look, it's the thing that's fascinating every week about this Niners team is, and I give Brock Purdy a lot of credit. Like he's done an amazing job. I mean, for any rookie, if you were the first overall pick or the last pick, he's done an amazing job. But at some point, does a hostile environment like he's going to be getting on Sunday? And I thought Kittle was really funny. I'll try and pull up the quote for you. But he's like, yeah, it's going to be rowdy and it's going to be violent. Like that's what football should be, or something like that. It was a really.
I can't wait to be a part of it.
Yeah, and he's a badass. But
yeah, he is.
I just wonder if at some point it doesn't catch up to him. It may not, but I wonder if Purdy starts to feel the moment a little bit, if it gets loud, and because I thought there were a couple moments yesterday, frankly, when the Cowboys were getting decent pressure on him, that he looked a little shook just for a minute, but. Ultimately he made big plays, for sure. He did. And that, like the throw to the Kittle makes a great catch, but that's an off schedule play by the quarterback. And he bought himself a little bit of time and he made the throw. It's a good throw, but this is a different, this is a better team than the Cowboys.
Well, this will be the best defense he's played against all year.
Yes.
And you have to admit, their division was weak, man, as far as defenses. The Rams suck.
Oh.
Seattle sucked.
Yep.
The Cardinals are pretty good. They're a pretty good defense. Their offense just sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So they never got a real challenge. That's 6 games right there that they've won with defenses that suck. He hadn't had to, go against. And I want to look at their schedule, see what the toughest games were, on their schedule in which they've won.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean. Everybody wants to talk about how weak the Eagles' schedules are, is. I really want to see what the 49ers' schedule look like. If you want to.
Well, yeah, I mean, all right. So all right, let's run through it real quick. So the Niners' regular season schedule. So let's just go to when they got hot.
Okay, they got Chicago. We start from again. Look, they beat Chicago, beat them 19-10. They beat Seattle 27-7.
Yep.
The Broncos beat them 11-10.
Mm-hmm.
Then they beat the Rams 24-9. They beat the Panthers 37-10. The Falcons beat them 28-14.
Yep.
The Chiefs whooped their ass 44-23.
Yep.
Then they came back and beat the Rams 31-14. I think this has started the streak.
This is when the run starts right now.
The 49ers 22-16. The Cardinals 38-10. They squeaked one out with the Saints 13-0.
Yep.
They beat the Dolphins 33-17. That's a good win.
Yeah.
They beat the Buccaneers. That's 35-7. That's all right. They squeaked one out against the 49ers. Against Seattle. Yep. Seattle 21-13. It wasn't like a complete thrashing, but they beat the Commanders. The Raiders were right there with them. They played overtime and beat the Raiders 37-34. They beat the heck out of the Cardinals, and then they went to the Wildcat round. They beat the Seattle Seahawks 41-23, but it was tied at halftime, or they were up 3 at halftime.
Yep.
And then they just beat the Cowboys, barely squeaked. Like the Dallas should have won that game if I mean, come on, how do you throw a pick in the end zone? I'm like, come on, Dak.
I don't know what he was looking at on the first one either, man. Like,
right? I mean, he's throwing. He's. I can see all the way that the receiver's looking at him, and he's not coming back, and he still threw the ball.
I know.
What was that?
He's got the yips, man. Like, everybody was so worried about the kicker going into that game. You should have been worried about the quarterback. You know, he's been a mess all year. And yes, he played great against the Bucs. The Bucs were cooked. You couldn't have been more toast than that Bucs team was in that playoff game.
Right.
Virtually every other game, the guy was throwing multiple interceptions or at least an interception per game. And he continued that. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He's shook right now.
He's shocked.
It's going to be a fascinating offseason for him, how he gets past this mentally, because this is a big deal.
Bro, this is therapy type conditions, man, because did you hear what Jerry said? Jerry said, I thought he was the type of quarterback that could win in the playoffs. I thought he was the team to take my team into the playoffs.
Yeah.
To Super Bowl. I thought.
Yeah. Past tense. Yeah. Here's what's interesting, too. Did you see this? This is coming from the Cowboys Twitter account, right? The Cowboys, not a blogger, not a fan, not whatever, okay? They tweeted out, Dak Prescott gave away the ball twice in the narrow loss to the 49ers. In a matchup the Cowboys had a chance to win if they didn't again generate self-inflicted wounds. Wow. That's from their account.
That's damning.
It's damning. It is. You're right. It's crazy. Can you see the Eagles doing that to Jalen Hurts if he threw a couple of picks in a game on their Twitter account? It would never happen.
Our fan base would have ripped them apart. They'd have ripped the Eagles apart. But none of that gets posted without Jerry Jones's approval. Because he's so narcissistic. He wants
his
control
fingers are on everything.
All the narrative going out of that camp. So he got that. He might have called down to tell them that,
right?
To print that or to tweet that.
Who knows, man? But I'm seeing that, and I'm like, that's coming from your own people.
Man. In a way, I feel sorry for him, but hell, he's a Dallas, so I don't like him. But the situation in which he's been put into, how does he regress the way he is, though? You know what I'm saying? How does he regress like that?
And it's a bad sign because where he's at in his 6th or 7th year, he should be in his sweet spot right now. Like, he should be playing the best ball of his career.
Right.
And he's definitely not. That's for sure. So go back to the Eagles. So, you look at it. Daniel Jones goes 15 for 27, 135 yards, no touchdowns, an interception, and a 53.8 passer rating. They made him look like that guy the last few years prior to this year. Like, they regressed him back to, years past Daniel Jones rather than this year's Daniel Jones.
I think that he got caught up in the hype. The head coach got caught up in drinking the Kool-Aid. Mike Kafka thought he was better than what he really was, simply because they played a Minnesota team. Just like you keep reiterating, they went 2-5-1.
Yeah, to close it out. Yep.
So I mean, come on now. You look at us. We went 1-3 to close the season out. But during that 1-3, the 2 games we lost, Jalen Hurts wasn't playing.
Mm-hmm.
The game he comes back, they win. Like it or not, I can't even fathom even putting those 2 losses, and applying them to how I think about this team. It's like I'm erasing it, even though you can't erase it, because that's still a starting defense that was out there playing against both of those teams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
I understand, it's they're on the record, but I don't even apply them towards what this team really is, even though that starting defense is the same starting defense that they have right now.
Mm-hmm.
But long story long, this team is getting back hot when it's supposed to be. I didn't think they crescendo. I don't think that they, hit the best of their best playing ability, that it's already peaked. I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I think they're still building up.
I agree. I don't feel like they've plateaued by any
No,
stretch.
not at all. Not
And
at all.
and if anything, the way that they handled the Giants in that game should tell people that, because that was part of what we were hearing from people.
Right.
The Eagles peaked at the wrong time, man. Look at what's happened the last month.
Right.
And then they just went right back up on the chart. I just think that they haven't even scratched the surface. We talked about it on offense. AJ Brown does very little in that game. Even Jalen didn't have to go nuts. He was 16 for 24 for 154. He didn't have to go off. And then, defensively, there's no reason to believe that they're not going to continue to get after the quarterback at the rate that they get after the quarterback. That their linebackers aren't going to make plays, that their secondary is not going to make plays. I think this game helped Slay's confidence. Slay's never going to admit to anything, to ever not being confident. Don't get me wrong. But he wasn't playing great. I thought he played very well Saturday night.
You're absolutely right. He did. I think they both got, him and Bradbury both got back to playing at the level we thought they'd play, even though they're playing against a bad receiving core.
Yeah, they're granted. New York does not have great weapons. There's no
not at all. Not at all. I mean, they in all actuality, they're probably the worst trio of receivers we've seen this year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of it.
No, they're the worst.
I don't know. The Saints are pretty bad also.
But Olave, even as a rookie, is better than what they're rolling at.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're right.
But, again, that team got into the playoffs and won last week against the Vikings. And guys like Hodgins and other guys stepped up. The Eagles didn't let those guys step up. They snuffed them out right away. They just extinguished them, really from the jump.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, the defensive line I thought was really good, obviously. I thought the linebackers played well, that the secondary, I mean, it was really all there. And that's the beauty. I thought the game was called really well, by the defensive coordinator, but they just made plays, man. I mean, they went out there and made plays too that impacted it. Even when they weren't getting to Daniel Jones, they were getting hits on Daniel Jones. And he wasn't the same quarterback that we had seen, that confident guy.
Right. I'm trying to think where the Eagles are compared to where they were in 2017. And I think they're tit for tat from where they were to win it all.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say? I mean,
yeah.
Wasn't that kind of scary that the same score that they beat Minnesota was the same score on the same day?
Yeah. 37 on the anniversary 5 years later of beating the Vikings by that same score in the NFC.
That's crazy.
It really is crazy. Yeah, I mean, look, if I'm looking at the 17 team and this team, both teams could really get after the quarterback. Jeez, man, it is a tough comparison. I think the safeties were probably better 17. I think the corners are better this year.
Oh, no question.
I think the overall receiving core, even though 17, it was still, Alshon was still good then, but I still think the Eagles receivers now are better.
Yep.
I guess you could argue, you could give maybe a nod to 17 with having Ertz and Selleck over just Goddard and what's behind Goddard, whatever. But I think Miles Sanders is a better straight up running back than the combo.
Yep.
That 17 used.
Absolutely.
And the quarterback play is pretty equal. Like Nick Foles was lights out and Carson before him, and Jalen Hurts was playing at an MVP level. Had he not gotten hurt, probably would have won the MVP. So there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to like, man. There's a lot of comparisons.
And it's crazy how that offensive line is still as dominant as it was back then. It's still the dominant these days also. And
at least two of those guys, right? Kelsey and Lane. Is there anybody else still? Sam Malo was on the team, right?
Sam Malo was starting.
No, yeah, he was. But he was the backup on that team, right? Wasn't he?
I thought he was starting. I thought it was Sam Malo. Sam Malo was starting.
No, Vaitai you're thinking of. Vaitai was starting.
Vaitai was starting in front of he started from Jason Peters.
Right, and then Wisniewski was a starter too.
He was started on the right side because remember, wasn't it Brooks that got hurt?
Brandon Brooks got hurt.
See, Brooks was hurt, and then Sam Malo started. Sam Malo started at the left at the left guard. It was Sam Malo, Kelsey, then your boy Wisniewski, and Lane, and Big V.
Okay. For some reason, I thought Sam Malo was coming off the bench. Yeah. All right. Anyway, but so you have carryovers for sure. Fletcher's still there on the other side of the ball.
Yep.
You still have some pieces that are there. I would say the interior, that team had Jernigan and some good players, but I think the interior is better on
Well,
this
they're
defense.
better this year. The interior is better. Interior is better this year. Because Jernigan was good, Fletcher was good, but after that I don't think they really have much.
Yeah.
But you look at what we have here. I mean, and then the defensive ends. I'm gonna say that Chris.
Well, yeah,
Sam Reddick is
BG.
better than Chris.
Yeah, Chris Long.
You still had Sweat also.
Was he there then? Jeez, man.
Yeah, Sweat and Barnett. It was Barnett that was in there.
Yeah. Hey, look, man. Anyway, this is good. They're good. Bo Allen was there in the interior.
Bo Allen, that's what interior.
Good call.
Good
Right. Call.
Yep, good call right there. Yep.
Yep, that's it. Good job, big fish, little boat. All right, so let's come back and dig into the Niners a little bit more. The way they won this game, the Cowboys losing is never a bad thing to be able to talk about. Hey, let me update you on this. So this is coming from our buddy James Palmer, the NFL Network. Said Andy Reid said this high ankle sprain is not as bad as the one Mahomes had in 2019. He's getting treatment. They'll take it day by day. He said Mahomes is planning to play. He's never played without practicing, but it appears that hasn't been ruled out if staying off of it ends up being the plan. So that's kind of where it's at. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything else. I didn't think they would come out today and be like, listen, he's in a ton of pain and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
We'll see. But Mahomes clearly showing his toughness playing through that. That's for sure.
Oh, you were right. You were right. It was Wiz and Samala was coming off the bench.
Okay.
You're right. Brooks played. Brooks wasn't
That's right.
hurt.
Brooks was healthy that year.
He was healthy. That's right. He was healthy that year. Yep.
Yeah, Vaitai went in for JP was the sub. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's hit it. Let's come back. Let's do some Niners, Eagles. I'll give you a little history too on their matchups over the years as well. Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Flynn Tree Services. Yes, Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face. So if you have any kind of issues in your yard, on your property, whatever, they're just a quick phone call away. And they service southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. So they got a big span here. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Keep in mind that storm season, it's kind of nasty. We've had some pretty bad weather here, the last couple of days here in the Philadelphia area. It's a great time to have your trees evaluated. You go to their Facebook or Instagram page for a sampling of their work or more information. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flinntreeservices.com. That's flinntreeservices.com.